Casino Royale is a 2006 spy film and the 21st in the Eon Productions James Bond series, and the third screen adaptation of Ian Fleming's 1953 novel of the same name. Directed by Martin Campbell, from a screenplay by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade and Paul Haggis, it stars Daniel Craig in his first appearance as Bond, alongside Eva Green, Mads Mikkelsen, Judi Dench and Jeffrey Wright. In the film, Bond is on assignment to bankrupt terrorist financier Chiffre, played by Mads Mikkelsen, in a high-stakes poker game at the Casino Royale in Montenegro. Following Die Another Day in 2002, Eon decided to reboot the franchise, attempting to counteract the perceived unrealistic elements of the previous entries and instead explore a less experienced, more vulnerable Bond. Casino Royale had been produced as a 1954 television episode starring Barry Nelson as Bond and Peter Law as the villain, as well as the non-canonical 1967 ensemble satirical film starring David Niven, Peter Sellers and Woody Allen. Eon Productions gained the rights to Casino Royale in 1999 after Sony Pictures Entertainment exchanged them for Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer's rights to Spider-Man. In March 2004, Neil Purvis and Robert Wade began writing a screenplay for Pierce Brosnan as Bond, aiming to bring back the flavour of Ian Fleming's original Bond novels. An early draft featured Bond backpacking in Madagascar and playing chess with Lord Lucan. As the drafts became closer to being finalised, the opening scene in which Bond earns his 00 licence was originally going to consist of an adaptation of either the short stories, The Hildebrand Rarity or 007 in New York. Rather than bombing the Skyfleet jet, there would have been a hijacking of a cruise ship in Cape Town. Director Quentin Tarantino expressed interest in directing an adaptation of Casino Royale, but Ian was not interested. He claims to have worked behind the scenes with the Fleming family and believed this was the reason why filmmakers finally went ahead with Casino Royale. Tarantino said he would have had set it in the 1960s and would have made it with Pierce Brosnan as Bond. In February 2005, Martin Campbell, who had previously directed GoldenEye in 1995, was announced as the film's director. Campbell felt Purvis and Wade's draft needed a rewrite and suggested hiring Paul Haggis, whose main contribution was to rewrite the climax of the film. Haggis also said that he wanted to do for Bond what Batman Begins had done for Batman. Broccoli and Wilson also thought that Die Another Day had become too fantastical, feeling the next film should be more realistic and grounded. Later that same year, Sony led a consortium that purchased MGM, allowing Sony to gain distribution rights, starting with this film. Pierce Brosnan had signed a deal for 4 films when he was cast in the role of James Bond. This was fulfilled with the production of Die Another Day in 2002, and Brosnan officially announced he was stepping down in February of 2004. At one point, producer Michael G. Wilson claimed over 200 names were being considered for the replacement. Croatian actor Goran Vinicic auditioned for the role the same day as Craig, but was reportedly unable to master an English accent. New Zealander Carl Urban was considered, but was unable to make the screen test due to filming commitments. According to Martin Campbell, Henry Cavill was the only other actor in serious contention for the role, but at 22 years old he was considered too young for the part. Cavill would later say he was turned down by Campbell as he considered him out of shape for the part. Australian actor Sam Worthington and Scottish actor Douglas Ray Scott were also considered. Scottish actor Sam Hennigan and Welsh actor Matthew Rhys also auditioned. Scottish actor David Tennant was reportedly considered, although Tennant himself did not know he was on the shortlist until years later. Even the likes of Ewan McGregor, Rupert Friend and Anthony Starr were in talks to discuss the role. In May of 2005, British actor Daniel Craig stated that MGM producers Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli had assured him he would get the role of Bond. Matthew Vaughn told reporters that MGM had offered him the opportunity to direct the new film, but Eon Productions at the point had not approached either of them. A year beforehand, Craig rejected the idea of starring, as he felt the series had descended into formula. Only when he read the script did he become interested. Craig read all of Fleming's novels to prepare for the part, and cited Mossad and British Secret Service agents who served as advisors on the set of Munich as inspiring. Bond has just come out of the service and he's a killer, Craig would say. You can see it in his eyes. You know immediately, oh hello, he's a killer. There's a look. These guys walk into a room and very subtly they check the perimeters for an exit. That's the sort of thing I wanted for this role. On October 14, 2005, Eon Productions and Sony Pictures Entertainment announced at a press conference in London that Craig would be the 6th actor to portray James Bond. Taking time off from reshoots from The Invasion, a business suit-clad, rather long-haired Craig boarded a Royal Marines rigid raider from HMS Belfast before travelling to HMS President, where he was introduced to the world's press. Controversially, following the decision, with some critics and fans expressing doubt that the producers had made the right choice. Throughout the entire production period, internet campaigns such as DanielCraigIsNotBond.com expressed their dissatisfaction and threatened to boycott the film in protest. Craig, unlike previous actors, was not considered by protesters to fit the tall, dark, handsome and charismatic image of Bond to which viewers had become accustomed. The Daily Mirror ran a front-page news story critical of Craig with the headline, "The name's Bland, James Bland." The next important casting was that of the lead Bond girl, Vesper Lind. Casting director Debbie McWilliams acknowledged Hollywood actresses Angelina Jolie and Charlize Theron were strongly considered for the role. Belgian actress Cécile Delfrance also auditioned, but her English accent wasn't up to scratch. French actress Audrey Tautou was also considered, but not chosen because of her role in The Da Vinci Code, which was another Columbia Pictures film, released in May of 2006. Rachel McAdams turned down the role in the film to focus on raising her own family. Olivia Wilde and French actress Eva Green were the two finalists for the part, and on the 16th of February 2006, Green was announced to play the part. Once again, the score was composed by veteran composer David Arnold, his fourth soundtrack for a Bond film series. Chris Cornell then composed and would perform the title song, You Know My Name. The song's main notes are played throughout the film as a substitute for James Bond theme to represent Bond's youth and inexperience. The classic theme only plays at the end credits to signal the climax of his character arc. Principal photography took place in the Bahamas, Italy and the United Kingdom and the Czech Republic, with interior sets built at Pinewood Studios and Baradov Studios. Casino Royale features primarily practical stunt work as opposed to the computer-generated placements seen in other Bond films. The film premiered at the Odeon Leicester Square on the 14th of November 2006 and was theatrically released for the first time in the United Kingdom on the 16th of November and the United States a day later. The film received critical acclaim, with praise for Craig's reinvention of the character and its departure from the tropes of previous Bond films. It grossed over $616 million worldwide, becoming the fourth highest-grossing film of 2006 and the highest-grossing James Bond film until the release of Skyfall in 2012. Now, I too, like many, was rather sceptical when I heard Daniel Craig was being cast as James Bond. He just didn't look the part for me, being blonde and a lot shorter than some of the James Bond actors, and Daniel Craig by all means was a very serious actor, playing in real heavy dramas at the time until this point. I almost felt him too strong an actor for this type of role. But after watching this film, I was glad to be proven wrong. For me, Casino Royale is arguably the best Bond film ever made. The film is gritty and realistic in its portrayal of the leading character, departing from the more suave and polished Bond of the past. And Daniel Craig's performance here is absolutely superb, bringing a new level of depth and vulnerability to this iconic spy character. I also loved the film's plot based on Ian Fleming's first James Bond novel. It follows Bond as he embarks on his first mission as a 00 agent, aiming to bankrupt a terrorist financier in the high-stakes poker game. The action sequences are also fantastic, much more grounded and intense compared to some of the more over-the-top action sequences seen in previous films. The parkour chase scene particularly stands out as a highlight, showcasing Bond's physical prowess and determination. And the one thing I have to say about Craig is he really looked like he could fight, he looked like he could hold a gun, and he looked like he was on top of his game. You could see Craig worked out heavily for the role, and his physique really matched his determination. Additionally, the film's focus on character development and relationship dynamics adds a layer of depth to the story. The romantic connection here between Bond and Vesper Lynd, played brilliantly here by Eva Green, is a central theme, and their chemistry is one of the best things of the whole film. For me, Casino Royale not only reinvents the Bond franchise, it gave it a breath of fresh air, which it really needed. But it also paid homage to its origins. For me, it's a blend of character-driven storytelling, intense action, and a more grounded approach to the spy genre, which makes it one of the best Bond films ever made. Mads Mikkelsen too plays the Chiffre absolutely perfectly and really does the character justice. All in all, this is a fantastic interpretation of the Bond character, and Daniel Craig really sunk his teeth into the role. Here we had a much more gritty, darker, jaded type of Bond, much more serious in a real world. From its fantastic storytelling, superb acting, and beautiful chemistry here between Eva Green and Daniel Craig, Casino Royale is truly a masterpiece within the Bond film series. Casino Royale gets a 9.5 out of 10.